right, well, we're going to go to another fighter on the front lines here. Somebody that we've had on before and is a very good friend of ours, and I think of everybody here, Dana Cody. Hello, Dana.
Hi, how are you all?
Well, we're doing just fine, and you're joining us from Napa, California. Ray was joining us from Delaware. You got a tough act to follow, Dana.
Yes, I was sitting there listening to her thinking, too bad she's not a lawyer.
Hey, you're the president and executive director of Life Legal Defense Foundation, and I saw a couple of things that you had put out. One on this bill in California to allow non-physicians to do abortion.
Yes.
And another one about this amicus brief that you guys have filed in a case involving free speech of pro-lifers.
Right, the McCullen case.
Yeah, let's talk about the California situation. You know, I think it is absolutely appalling that these people have preached for 50, 60 years now that abortion needs to be legal so it can be done by licensed, trained medical doctors in clean environments. And you know, we did something when I wrote Line 5, we did a section in there where even the pro-aborts at the time of Roe versus Wade admitted that by that point, almost all the illegal abortions being done in America are being done by doctors who were simply breaking the law. They weren't being done by some greasy guy in a apartment. You know what we're going to wind up with, and I want you to speak to the legal issues here in a minute, but philosophically, California does 20% of all the abortions in the country, in one state. Now, what we're going to wind up with, if this passes, eventually is that almost all the illegal abortions were done by physicians, but almost all the legal abortions are being done by non-physicians. Isn't that weird?
Well, I mean, all they're doing is legalizing back alley abortion. I mean, in light of Gosnell and everything that's going on, the Birmingham case we're involved with, it's I want to say negligible. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous that they would do this.
But they're going to do it.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, we got Moonbeam as governor, and he's signed it, and hippie go free, here we go.
Right.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
Well, the thing that scares me, Dana, is there's a move across the country to really up the standards. We see ambulatory surgical centers being in place. You're forcing physicians to have hospital privileges within a close proximity to the abortion clinic. Well, that's because we have detailed again and again over the past several years botched abortions, death through abortion, horrible conditions. You mentioned Gosnell, not to mention this guy down in Houston. And I mean, all the horrific things that have been perpetrated on women that we have exposed to the internet over the past 5 years. And now with a move afoot to increase the clinic's safety and protocols, in California, they're doing exactly the opposite.
Right. Yeah. And you know, if you read Roe, it says over and over again, a woman and her physician, a woman and her physician. And this is not in line with Roe whatsoever. I mean, all of us agree, no abortion ever under any circumstance, no matter what. But, you know, unless the woman is going to die, which we all know is an exception. But
and not an abortion.
That aside, Roe says a woman and her physician, and this is the exact opposite. And what I have been saying and predicting is that, you know, we've got the HHS mandate in ObamaCare. Look at California. That's where it was first. This is a blueprint for what we'll see next at the federal level.
Absolutely.
Because what they do in California, they're going to do with our president in office.
But there's nothing to worry about here, though, because it seemed like I read where there's going to be maybe a few hours or a couple of days of training for these non-physicians.
Oh, yeah, they'll have it.
So this is going to be safe and it's going to be thorough.
We know you're being facetious.
We have nothing
there.
to worry about here, right?
But make no mistake about it. The reason they're doing this, the reason they're lowering the standards and opening up the door for non-physicians to do abortions is because they can't find baby killers in the medical community to do this.
That's right.
We're running them out of business. We're closing them down. They're losing their medical licenses, and so they have to open it up because they want more abortion and more dead babies.
Yeah, it's like we've been talking about for decades. This is what they cry about as their biggest problem. We can't find the doctors to do this.
Or other staff.
Or other staff.
Right,
and it's the same reason they push for the chemical method.
Right.
So, you know, Dana, when you're talking about Roe v. Wade, I was thinking about the same thing, how it talks about this is inherently a medical decision. I often say
Right.
it would be light years ahead if the abortion industry would just implement Roe v. Wade, because they don't.
Right, that's right.
Right, and there are obviously no abortion police, and they use their pilot project to justify this. And we looked at those numbers. We looked at what they had online and what we could get with public record requests. And there was an 80% increase in complications when non-physicians did abortions, and they were being monitored by physicians. And the complications included all the things that we're hearing about: incomplete abortion, failed abortion, hemorrhage, excessive bleeding, infection, cervical injury, uterine perforation. I mean, and the complication rate went up. There were enough complications when the physicians did them, but the complication rate almost doubled when non-physicians did them. It went from 78 with physicians to 141 with non-physicians. So yes, let's give them a couple of hours of training and let them do aspiration abortions and give women medications that are going to cause them harm.
They have this saying in the abortion industry: watch one, do one, teach one.
There you go. That's right. I mean, when
Right.
you think about it, as we know, what they're really trying to do here is just give legal sanction to what they're already doing.
Right, that's right.
Bring high school
Right.
kids in, have them given injections, and an hour
Right.
after they walk through the door.
15-year-old in Gosnell's clinic
There
was
you
given
go.
injections.
They're already doing that.
Hey, now Dana, real quickly,
Right.
we're out of time, but I want you to real quickly touch on this free speech thing that you guys are involved in.
Right. Well, we filed a friend of the court brief because, to not get too technical with legalese, basically, when you have an injunction, you're talking about a particular location and a particular person that's done a particular act, like trespass or something like that. Well, what has happened in Massachusetts is they've taken injunctive standards and basically set them in place in an ordinance where you have no particular location in mind, no particular person, and no bad behavior, no trespass, no anything. So they're really tightening what's already an unequal balance with regard to free speech and people who are pro-life advocates. So they're just limiting speech more and more and more.
Well, the salient point here, Dana, is that the very things they're doing to pro-lifers, they would never even begin to attempt against labor unions, or
no, absolutely not.
against gay right activists or environmental activists or whatever. They would never even dream of trying to do that against those people. But against pro-lifers, it's like a field day, and we're seeing. But let me tell you something. This is, again, good news.
It is.
It is good news because it's more indication of what we've talked about here, you and I have talked about for years. The closer we get to winning, the more vicious these people are going to become.
Oh, absolutely. And, it was this case that we did in Birmingham where they permanently enjoined the abortionist Bruce Norman from doing abortions. If we hadn't been able to get pro-lifers back out on the street, and I think Troy was involved with that also, they would have never been able to film these women being literally carried out of the back door in the back alley of this clinic, not on gurneys because they couldn't get them down the steps. And I was just out at that clinic last week, just looking at the outside of the building made me want to vomit. It was filthy. There was garbage everywhere. I can't even imagine what the inside looks like. And so in California, we're making this, we're encouraging this sort of thing. And let's go ahead and shut them up because we don't want them out there because they'll see what we're doing, expose it, and we're out of business.
Absolutely.
Well, thankfully, that Birmingham abortion clinic, thanks to Life Legal Defense Foundation, is now closed.
All right.
And it's not going to reopen. There's a court injunction to keep it from opening. Mm-hmm. So thank you so much for that, Dana.
Oh, sure. And it's, kudos to the attorneys that work with me, Allison Aranda, some of the local attorneys, Trent Garman, Nicholas Beckham, Will Webster. It's a team effort, and they've been phenomenal in helping us. And then Katie Short, who wrote, if you can go to our website and read her brief, there's a link to it. It is absolutely brilliant in McCullen.
We're out of time, but we'll put your website up on the screen for people to go and look at that because
Great.
That's very important for people to know. Well, listen, Dana, keep up the good work.
We will try.
And thank you so much for joining us today.
Yes, and thanks for all that you guys are doing. You're doing a great job.
Well, thanks, Dana. We'll talk to you later.
Okay, take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
How are we going to lose with people like Ray and Dana?
Isn't that beautiful?
I mean, we talk about this all the time, that you see these people that are out there on the front lines that most of the public never hears about. Most of the pro-life public doesn't hear about it unless they watch Life Talk.
Right.
This stuff is going on out there. We're winning these battles all over the country, and nobody really knows it. But
Mark,